Okay, welcome back with another video for Path of Exile. This time we're going to talk about the Ascendancy class trial. This is really designed completely for basics or new people who are playing the game coming from my TTRPG or the role-playing game community. Try to explain things beyond what you could read about in the wiki, right? So over the course, if you watched the little class guide before, you realize that the game begins with a series of primary classes, and then along the way you do a trial, and that trial allows you to select one of the three possible ascendancy classes. And everyone in the game wants to do this. And for example, I've talked about this previously, how I'm playing a necromancer, right? And if you look on my talent tree here in the middle, this could have been an occultist or it could have been an elementalist. But once I get into being a necromancer, it opens up special abilities and talents and things like that that are more specific to that type of gameplay. So you definitely want to do this. Now, there's a lot of information about how to do this and when to do this and some tricks to do this to make it much more convenient and easy and simple for you. So let's go over that first of all. So let's just pop open some web pages here. If you go to the Path of Exile wiki and you type in Trial of Ascendancy, you're going to see some general information about the Labyrinth, right? The Labyrinth is a series of zones that are interconnected, and there are going to be three trials, which is a specific room to fight a specific boss, right, named Izaro or something like that. And you've got to be able to unlock it first, and then when you actually go to the labyrinth, you have to go all the way to the end, right, without dying. So if you die, you get kicked out, you have to start over, right? And so you can read about the Lord's Labyrinth and the Labyrinth and so on down the wiki page, but let's just kind of give you some detailed information. It's going to be Izaro, not Lazaro. Izaro is the boss. I'm going to show you the boss on a lower level Ascendancy Trial. I'll take off all my, get rid of all my minions and get rid of my rogue dude that I've got mercenary, so I could just stand there and I can show you some of the abilities he does so you know what they are ahead of time. Now, how do you unlock it? Over the course of the leveling between Acts 1 and 5, you're going to find in different dungeons or areas, such as this prison, the crypt, the chamber of sins, the crematorium, the catacombs, the imperial gardens. Sometimes when you enter these zones, it will say, find the Trial of Ascendancy in this area, right? So you're going to need to find 6 of them while you're leveling your character for the very first time. And what will happen is you'll find these little areas that will have a little plaque on the ground, and you'll go through, it'll be like saw blades, little traps for a few monsters, and you run to the end, there's this large gravestone, and you click on it, and a little coin will appear that says you've completed it. So basically, the very first time you're ever playing, you're going to have to collect 6 of these, and they're not hard, they're very easy. So they're just tiny little areas that are offshoots of these specific zones. If you forget one, remember you can always go back to any of the zones in the game, and also you can always control and left click on the waypoint or the edge of any zone and reset the instance to be a start over. So you could reset the entire instance if you can't find it or something like that. This is a trick you can do from World of Warcraft as well. So at different levels, there's different types of labyrinths. The basic labyrinth is the one that handles you from, Act 1 to Act 6. After Act 6 through 10, where they kind of launch this stuff, you only need to find 3 of them, and they're located in the prison, the crypt, and the chamber of sins, right? And then the last one, the harder one, is the merciless labyrinth, which is in Act 8, 9, and 10. And once you find these little coins markers on these gravestones, you'll know whether you've unlocked the Trial of Ascendancy. Now, once you get to mapping, which is the end game, you'll actually end up finding a currency that looks like a little justice girl standing there with a little plaque behind her, and they'll drop every now and then you can do this, what they call it the Uber Lab, the Eternal Labyrinth. Why do you want to do the Labyrinth? Okay, yes, of course, you want to get your Ascendancy class, but there's also other things that can happen as well, such as when you get to the final room, there's lots of treasure based on how many keys and stuff you located. There's also going to be a font, which is like a religious altar with a little bowl on it. You can click on the font, and at different levels of the labyrinth, you can do things such as add experience to a skill gem, or rank up the quality of a skill gem, or trade out a similar gem of the silver color for a transfigured gem. And if you're starting to get into the game and reading about some of these 3.26, league starter guides, you start reading about, whoop-de-doo move of snaking, and you can't find the skill gem anywhere, it's because it's a transfigured gem. You can usually go to the wiki, and let's just go there and pop in there real quick, and type in the transfigured skill gem. I think it's TRANS, transfigured skill gem. Great, their search stuff is great. These are all the gems in the game that aren't available normally on vendors that you can only get by putting a skill gem into the font after you've completed the entire labyrinth, and a random chance to roll one of the other ones will possibly happen. At different levels, they'll be like, hey, put in a green gem and get a random green transfigured gem. And you can see here, there's probably like, what, 70, 50, 80 of these things? So the odds can be low. But sometimes this is a great thing to do because you can sell the gems, and we'll do a tutorial about how to buy and sell things and getting a MTX bag so you can sell things. But a lot of times these abilities, these gems, because they're harder to get, have some really interesting powers and modifications to the original ability. So, like, for example, there's a spell in the game called Firestorm, right? Firestorm bombs a bunch of meteors from the heavens, very similar to a Diablo type move. There's a firestorm of meteors, right? That has a different effect to it. And there's also like a firestorm of pelting. So the action of the ability can change, which can be really important for you. So when you're going to run your labyrinth, make sure that in your bank box, right, your stash, you figured out you've got some gems in there that you want to throw into the labyrinth font to get maybe a transfigured gem. Or one of the gems you have equipped that you're leveling up, you want to increase its quality. Like, say you're just a hardcore, cleave person. You're cleaving and cleaving, or you want your summon golem like my carrying golem to be maxed out. You want to raise the quality of that. All right, so that tells us about what and why. And of course, once you pick your Ascendancy, you're going to get 2 points to apply to your Ascendancy class talent tree, which will always appear in the center here. And there's a little button on the passive tree. You can pop it open to toggle it on and off, right? So Crazy Necro Girl here, who's done 3 labs, right? She's like 82. We're still mapping and trying to get to the really hard end game. So the first time I did it, I got 2 points. Since my wife and I played together, I picked up something that was beneficial to both of us. And she's playing a champion, bombing explosive concoctions, unarmed bottle thrower, Molotov cocktails, and I use offerings all the time. So there's lots of great guides, ways to experiment. You can unspec these, but you're only going to get 2 points each time you complete the labyrinth. That's why you see here I only have 6 points applied. When we do the Uber Lab, I'll get 2 more. And there's lots of things to experiment here with a lot of fun. Okay, so we talked about that. Before you go in, before you go into here, this is where it's going to unlock for you. Once it's unlocked, the doorway will be open like this. You want to go to a website called PoE Lab. Let's just close the Lord Labyrinth. We get rid of the Ascendancy Trial and we get the Trinity. So it's kind of goofy looking, but it's a great website. The person that runs it's really smart. It's really well done. It's been daily reset. So basically what happens is between the different types of labyrinth, normal, cruel, merciless, and Uber Lab, there are patterns to the layout of the different, call them dungeons or zones, that change. And so where the exit from one was yesterday, the exit to the next one may not be there the next day. So let's just take a very basic look at this little diagram. It's going to be confusing as hell when you first look at it. So when you first take a look at it, like this is the regular labyrinth. You can see this little diagram, all right? So, and I'm just going to continue without supporting, sorry, dude. You see these weird diagrams, these like coin shapes and a little line and all this kind of stuff, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's explain this. Each one of these circles represents one of the zones that you're going to enter into. And for example, in this first zone, you see the little blue dot? That's the exit. You can see from the legend here, this is the exit that will connect to the next zone like the regular diagram does, and that connects to Area 2. Area 2 is going to be an Izaro, I keep calling him Izaro, an Izaro boss level. So you need to go to level in that area, kill him, and then you proceed to the next area. But you can see in this next area, there's 2 potential exits that lead to 2 different areas. One of them branches down to another generic area that sometimes might have an additional gauntlet or puzzle or another key you can get to open more chests in the final room. Another one just skips right ahead to the next trial. And sometimes when you're like running these things to get gems leveled up over and over and over at certain levels, you find it's kind of fun one day to go in there for like 4 or 5 hours and just run the labyrinth over and over and over and see if you can get a transfigured gem to sell it. You might get 50, 60 chaos orbs for it, right? You can see that, hey, if I need to find this entrance, but well, what does this mean? This is a circle and the zones are all, you know what the map is like in the game. Everything is cocked this isometric angle, with this being north, this being south, this being east, this being west. If you took the whole game and straightened it out and had a chase camera and lowered the camera, that's the direction everything would be. So when you're looking at the maps in the game, oh gosh, let's go down to the waypoint real quick. You'll see that when they show where things are located here, everything's just dots, right? You don't really know which configuration or which orientation. most of the time, the orientations of the maps are okay, but some wings and some of the pieces and parts are turned a different direction. So for today, we'll go back to PoE Lab, and we're just going to go into the basic lab just to show you the boss's abilities in a few minutes. You can see that these dots are placed at certain parts of the circle. You notice how they're pretty much almost always placed at the top of every circle. So if this was a compass, you're going to see the little exits are based off relative locations. And you can see a little diagram down here that points to arrows. So if there's a dot here, okay, that means it's related to this part of the map. If there's a dot straight to the top, it's related to this area, and a dot here related to this area. So according to this map, right, and we start in the first area, this upper right-hand corner is where the first connection is going to be to the first trial. All right, so you've opened everything up. You're like level 40, and you want to make sure you're higher enough level to destroy everything in the trial without actually getting killed, which I highly recommend you do at your first few times playing, because you probably don't have a lot of good gear, and being higher level will make a bigger difference. So you click on this, it'll take you to a zone, and it'll say you can go back to town here, and here will be a waypoint that'll automatically unlock for you. There's these plaques that are going to have.
The just goddess presides over us all. The future of the Empire rests in her even hands.
So this is kind of like, storyline. So this Emperor Izaro is the big boss guy. He's huge. He takes up half the screen. He jumps around. He leaps. Does all kind of nasty attacks. We're going to see that in a minute. You're going to come up to this little font here and click on this, and this will let you know which one you've unlocked. If you haven't unlocked one, like for example the Eternal Labyrinth, I don't have the right currency to run it yet, which requires one offering of the goddess. But for you, your first time doing it, and you collected all these different keys, right, these little coins, you can go in. So we're going to select this one, right, and go into, we're going to activate this. That'll open a door. Now you're going to have to get used to Izaro's infinite wisdom. He's constantly talking and saying stuff, and when you're fighting him, he'll say all kinds of hilarious philosophical crap. I'm going to run around with the zombies and the specters on just to wipe everything out. The level is so much lower here. This isn't me trying to show off how awesome I am. This is me just trying to give you an idea of how to get to the next area. Now remember, we looked at that map. It said that we had our tab key. We can see the enemies are only level 33, and we're like 82 or something now, so 83. So we're way over level for this. But you can click on this little gravestone marker here, and lo and behold, it's showing what you know so far about the labyrinth. So according to what PoE Lab says, this little dot here, if you look at this, means that somewhere up here, let's close this, somewhere up this way, let's move this map over so you can see it here. Somewhere up that way is going to be a connection to the Aspirants Trial, which is where we want to go. So we're just going to run through here real quickly. We're not going to fight a bunch of stuff. There is always usually another inscription here which has more whoop-de-doo writing in it, which doesn't mean anything. I'm just going to run through. I know how to get here. It's almost never different at all for the very first Aspirants Trial. You just keep going up and to the right, which is kind of like going northeast. Now, you see these little icons over here? These little, these are like little offshoot things to go get extra goodies. It'll be a trap. There's something in this lockbox. Go around, unlock a door, pull a lever, jump through with a time crank. You can skip those the first time you do it, but if you totally love that stuff, go for it, because it will let you have more loot or even buffs when you're finishing the map. Now, I've done this map many times. Remember how I kept saying I want to keep going to the upper hand corner? Sometimes it's deceiving. Sometimes you actually want to go, you want to do this. Let's open the map up this way. Sometimes you'll see that this is where we've gone so far, that what it really means is you want to go up here a long ways and then go up there. And that's what we need to do in this first version of this map. So we're just going to run past everything. If you have a movement ability, like Flame Dash, which is my favorite, or Frost Blink, or Dash, or Shield Charge, and you want to get past things, that comes in handy. So as you can see, it's a typical area, lots of blues, stuff's dropping that you can get for, chromatic orb. You can do all that and farm those things if you want. But remember, if you die in here, right, it resets. So we're going to take our mercenary and reserve him. So he's going to go back to my hideout. And I'm going to equip and unequip all my gear. I'm actually going to go into the trial first. Actually, let me do this. Before I go in, let me get all the zombies and everything off first. Okay, what we're going to do is lift and take on and put on all my gear, which make every single minion that we've got summoned disappear. Because I don't want the guy to die. He would die too quickly. So as I said before, these current location tabs, these are really useful for you to get a sense of like, oh, okay, so if I go through this doorway, which is labeled Aspirant's Trial, it shows me it's going to go to this with a big ugly grimacing dude here stuck on the toilet. So that's where you want to go next. So when you go in here, you're going to hear all this whoop-de-doo, oh, the Weary Traveler type crap, right? Now, it played already once before. Now, we don't have our Spectral Shield on. I'm going to put that on real quick. All right, we have no zombies up. I'm going to go in here. I don't do any damage. I just want to show you what this room looks like and some of his attacks. As you get to harder and harder trials, there'll be things like spinning blades on the ground, or lots of extra skeletons are launching, or there'll be debuffs to certain resist. But the concept of what he does is always the same, right? When you go into the room, he's going to come up this elevator. Always has some tidbit of wisdom to say. He usually charges or shoots this chaos damage volley at you. Boom. So he's charging and leaping to me. Now he shoots the chaos stuff. Now he wants to come out and try to melee me once. He missed. Now he's going to shoot the chaos stuff again. He did a charge there across the map. Chaos stuff again. Leap slam. Bombing. The bombing is bad because the bombing will stagger you. We could just stand here, but I'm trying to pretend like I'm trying not to get hit by him, right? So if you allow that to hit you, it might go stagger, 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 and you might have trouble. He's bombing again. Leap slam. Usually he'll charge sometimes. He usually does this chaos damage green shit, whatever. It's like a bunch of meteors come flying. And he makes the sound. Listen carefully here. Let's just warp away from him. You hear that sound? Like, so you can kind of tell when he's about to wind up the leap slam. So he usually pulls up to have to cast this. He's got the Statue of Liberty riding on top of his head, right?
To the occasion.
So this is where you get in trouble, right? You're in the fight. There's crap on the ground. There'll be extra zombies are now spawning. Things are getting. He got killed off my shield. Sorry. So once you defeat the guy, he'll say another tidbit of whoop-do wisdom. Don't let the other monsters in the map kill you, right? Let's give him 2 skeletons. So then you go to the next area. And then you're going to say to yourself, oh gosh, okay, where do I need to go now? You can click on the current location thing. It'll tell you, okay, this is where you went. You can see your branches. That's why the PoE Lab, because these maps get very complicated later, and I'll show you that too. You can see your branches. There's going to be 2 exits off the zone that I'm in currently. One goes this way, one goes this way. You can see the one you want is going to be up here to the upper, like northwest corner, as opposed to one in the northeast. And when you first look at this diagram, it's like, what the hell is this? I forgot. Even I've forgotten after not playing for a while. So let's get some zombies and specters up. We get a specters. Let's put this on here. Give me a minute. I'm going to get some specters up. We can have 3 of them, and we're going to get some zombies up. I'm putting Desecrator on the ground so I can summon my zombies to get all 9 of them up. And I'm going to put my Chaos Golem up. And that's good enough. Skeletons can come later. And we've got all our buffs on, so we're okay. All right, now, what a lot of times I'll do is I always go up north first to get to the end of the map. I don't waste any time, usually, with the little keys and the side rooms because I don't find it all that valuable, right? So I'm just going to keep going up this way. So up here, for example, is another one of these little tricks. I can show you how this works. Where you have a bunch of traps, and you have to run by and get to a lever, and pull a lever, and then open a door. Now, when you're in low levels, you want to be careful of these traps. Even at my level, I'm almost getting killed by these things. You're going to make sure you want to take a potion at all times or run a vitality buff so that you don't have a problem with this. Because you can be killed. These things are putting a bleed dot on you. So I'm going to pull this little lever. It opens a door and opens a little trove. In this case, we got... There was some loot dropping, but my loot filter's catching it. All right. So that would be one thing you could do. But we're going to try to find the actual exit. Oh, we want that. Remember my video the other day about making the boot linked? That's what we needed. I'm going to go back down this way. And that's a dead end. And I'm going to hit my little Quicksilver potion and go a little faster. Okay, this area where you need there's a switch for a lot of this stuff. Okay. So, what is that? What, you get this portal shredder. What does this do? The next portal you hit will be killed instantly. There are situations when you're fighting the boss in the boss room and little portals appear and mobs come running out of it. You don't usually have time to dick around with those things, but if you want to, it's kind of a World of Warcraft type of boss fight thing. You can go over there and kill the portal real quick, and less ads will come out. Right? Now, if you have a movement ability, you can warp through those types of traps without taking any damage, because like having an iframe. And we're going to see. Let's take a look at our map again. Okay, so it looks like we could go up this way and go up this way. All right? Now I know which way I'm going. I'm just trying to walk through it as if I've like never done it before. We've already done that. Let's pull this map up over here. This is what we want to do. We want to go up this way. Now, like I said, we're not trying to show off us being awesome. We're over-leveled for this. It's just to give you, okay, see that mark in the distance? Now, you don't know what it is. You can pull up your little mini-map and use the arrow keys to move things around like this. It's really bad. It's the worst mini-map in the game industry. They should really play Lost Ark sometime and update this. It's crap. So what you can do is you run up to this doorway, and you can see what it's going to be, right? Basilica Passage. That may not mean anything to you at all. Current location. Oh, okay, that's the one that branches down. So if you go back to your Path of PoE Lab, you can see one of them goes down. We don't want to do that. We want to go right to the next boss. So we need to find another passageway over this way more. So it looks like we're going to probably need to go down here and do these little traps or lever switches to find that. So let's just zip down here real quick. Okay, and let's get the map out of the way. We're through that switch. There's a switch there. And you can see on the map ahead of time if you're paying attention. I mean, if you aren't paying attention, you can be killed by the by the traps. So you can see even me, I'm being hit by it because I'm not a physical damage person. All right, so now we've got another exit here. This is the Aspirant's Trial. So, in summary, you can see how using PoE Lab helped me sort of navigate. Here was the first place that went to the lower area that we did not want to go to. This went down that way. Now you see it says letter G here, right? That means there's a gauntlet. A gauntlet a lot of times means something you need to run through that has lots of traps and things like that. You may get an extra buff or a little treasure chest or something like that. You don't really need that to get the Ascendancy. And later on when you're running this thing over and over and over to rank up gems or try to get a Transfigured gem, you don't really care about that. But if you're a completionist, you want everything, then do it. Always double check the little plaque. Okay, great. This goes to the next area. This goes to the Aspirant's Trial. It usually comes first to a lobby. And this is interesting.
When the time comes to strike, an emperor strikes without hesitation. To entertain doubt is to dance with death.
It's useful because you can come in, oh, I need to change my gear out because I'm going to fight the boss now. So I'm going to switch out, something for something else. Maybe I had another pair of boots that summoned a different golem that would give me health regeneration as opposed to the carrion golem. And you can see over here the things like Conduit of Flames and Conduits of Storms grants Izaro extra lightning damage. Shock Chance grants Izaro fire damage. A Conduit of Frost. Those are things you can deactivate, if I'm not mistaken, I've never messed with it, by doing some of those little side rooms. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go here and blow him up real quick.
The emperor beckons and the world attends.
Now, if you're running a zombie build, you notice you can never summon your Val skeletons when you come in here because it never gives you enough credit. We're just going to put a vulnerability on top of them and blow them right up. And these are the little portals that I was talking about earlier. See these things, Conduits of Flames? So when you get a gold bar like that on top of a boss, it usually means they're immune and you have to deal with other elements in the fight like ads or things moving around. But don't underestimate it with Izaro because he'll put the immunity thing on and still nuke you for another 6 seconds. You're like, what the hell? What happened? All right, so the next thing you want to do is go back to you're playing the game in a windowed full screen. Let me just show you what that looks like. If you're playing the game options and you go to game and graphics, and if you're playing in windowed full screen, you can just tap the Windows key like this, which brings up Windows, and you can have your tab down below with the website open. Okay, so the last trial, how many more hops do we have to go? Well, it looks like we leave this room. We're in this area here. It's 2 exits. One goes up to this area here, which is going to have like a silver key and some loot like that. We may or may not want to do that. We probably don't want to do it. That's going to try to get to this next area and then this next area. So the shortest path is 4 rooms, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Not 4 boss rooms, 4 rooms. Let's try to get to the next area. So it looks like it's going to be in the upper right-hand corner, not due north, but in the upper right-hand corner. So let's just do that real quick. Now, at this point in the video, if you think you got it, you can just tune out and go do what you want to do. But I wanted to kind of walk you through like how to do everything. I usually kind of always go up and to the right when I'm doing this. I can walk you through some of these little traps here too. These are like a burning grate. You can see it's really red, it's hot. It'll put fire damage over time. When it starts to cool off, you don't take any damage. And a lot of times you're needing to run through here and pull levers and things like that before you get to the next area. So as it gets hot, if I'm standing on it, I'm going to stand on it for a second. See, there goes my Aegis, and here goes my health bar going down because I'm standing in boiling hot barbecue grill. I'm going to get a potion going and get that health back up. Quit running around on top of those saw blades. Oh, Lord, it's so funny. Okay, so now we're going to go up to this area here. I'm going to cut over here to make sure I don't get burned. I've noticed that in this league, not an expansion, that because they brought gold back into the game, which is from the King's March edition, that opening trunks and chests everywhere has been more valuable than ever before. I've even gotten a Chaos Orbs out of it. Usually you never get anything worth a damn out of the chest. It's just junk, and there's no reason for you to ever try to open it. Let's get back out of the fire here real quick. I found it like opening all of them, like, wait a minute, when I was low level, you saw the first day stream, I was like, I was getting decent stuff out of it. I couldn't believe it. All right, so let's try getting down here again. When you go up this way, ignore the ghost. This is an altar. So an altar is pulsing. Any enemy in the area is also going to be pulsing. That means they're being affected by the altar. Sometimes your best bet just to warp in there and click the altar and give the buff to yourself instead. Now we want to keep going to the upper right, but we're not going to burn ourselves on this. You can see what the altar is doing, so it's 30 seconds of pulsing lightning damage. Lightning damage in the game will reduce the enemy's mitigation with a shock ailment. Okay, we're going to hit our little Quicksilver potion, run a little faster, see if we can burn through this, and try to find our exit to the next area. Okay, this goes to Mansion Atrium. So this is what we want. We want to go straight to the next area. That sounds good. Let's do that. Before you go in, not like this. Before you go in, you may want to go back to your little website thing and say, okay, PoE Lab, tell me I need to go. There's one more thing to go, and it's the middle, right? You see this? See this little right here? This pip is in the middle, goes right to the squinting dude on the toilet, which means Izaro. So we're gonna work our way through this. We're gonna run through at high speed because watching someone overpowered killing everything is probably boring. But I also want to talk about some of the traps. Hopefully we have some of the slammer bleed things in here too. Now I'm kind of going northeast because I'm anticipating it maybe cutting around. Here we go. Let's talk about this. Okay, sometimes you'll encounter these like mechanical boom, bam, like some from a factory from the early 1900s. If they hit you, they'll put a bleed on you and they could one-shot you. So, you know, you can run through them and time it and kind of spaz out. But it would suck to die to something as dumb and evil as that because you're impatient. So these little traps here sometimes happen too, like that. If you get hit with these things, you'll get spiked, held in place, and you'll get a bleed put on you. So we're just going to keep kind of going northeast as best we can. And there was a branching path there. I could have gone left. Okay, this is a dead end. You can sometimes warp and cut something short like this. Sometimes you can't. Now, if you're doing this by yourself, you're probably going to want to kill everything in the way and take your time so you don't get blown up. But as you can see, as usual, I bet this first one here is probably not the right one. Okay, this is a good way to prove this. So the state path. So you can see this on the north, but it's kind of like the north or northeast part. So over here in the mini-map, not in the real world, is probably where the next one needs to be. So if we look at our little map here, this goes to a state path. So that one's going to go down to here, which we don't want to do that. Not today. We just want to get to the final boss room again. So what we're going to try to do, we're going to try to backtrack down along parallel along this north wall. I find this method I'm doing, like always going north and then going parallel or going to the northeast and then always coming back, is usually the best way, especially in your very first lab, boom, there it is, to find the Aspirant's Trial. Okay, so let's go do...
An aspirant can afford to be promising.
Okay, so we're going to also take our gear off again so I can talk about the boss fight. Take this off, no zombies, no specters, No help. I need to turn off my shield. Let's turn off the shield. Shield's off. Carrying goblin. Okay, I have no gear on at all. I just want to go here and do the boss fight again. So you can see what the last room looks like. When you do this, until you take a step forward, nothing starts. When you do this at the higher level labs, remember how I was talking about there's different types of labyrinths? Let's go back to PoE Labs basic.
Our throne is the most devious trap of them all.
When you start doing the cruel lab, actually, I don't want to have the fight start with me not ready. Okay, here he is. He usually charges or shoots the green shit. Okay, there he's charging. Now notice there's portals, there's summoning little dudes, conduit storms, I'm being slowed, they're nuking me, he's trying to melee me, he's bombing. So this is really hard. In action adventure games, you can't see it coming. So you really need to have a movement. Look at all these ads everywhere. They're starting to nuke me too. Let's throw a few skeletons down and get rid of the ads. So this is where things are, oh shit, what's happening? Well, thankfully my skeletons killed him. But that, you really got to be careful. You need to be focusing on getting out of the way of stuff and only doing a little bit of damage when you get a chance. That's why I'm a big believer in classes that do drop and forget damage. Like you shoot caustic arrow on the ground and it leaves a burning chaos dot and he runs through it and he takes damage. Instead of trying to pull up and go bam, 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 bam. Like you don't have a lot of time in the game to do that kind of damage to any of the bosses. You're always having to move. And since you're always having to move, you only get a little bit of an opportunity to do a little bit of damage. And when the game gets harder and harder and harder and there's more and more and more crap on the screen and then the bosses go immune like 4 times during their whole health bar, so all these ads come out and these instant cast abilities come out and there's things that will one-shot kill you. If you are playing a build that requires you to go up there and go jab, jab, jab with your freaking letter opener, you're going to get blown up and it's not going to be very fun. So when you get to the very last guy, even though I have a loot filter on, grab these treasure keys for sure. You can look at the loot and see if you want it. Now you've completed it. You can go to the Ascendancy Chamber. Now you can have some chests. You can start opening those right away. A lot of this loot's going to be filtered by my loot filter. You can see the stuff on the ground. Okay, great. Pick up as much loot as you can. Take whatever's important to you. Hey, we even got a level 33 sword, right, that we can sell on our shop, right? We can sell on the trade side. You can see what, hey, you might get an upgrade. You never know. The goal of this, the game isn't really about getting loot off the ground for yourself all the time. It's also usually about getting loot that you can sell to someone else who might need it because there's so much of it. But later on at higher levels, you're getting so much currency, you might get like a yellow or white that you can craft or upgrade. All right, if you haven't picked your Ascendancy class, you can't leave this room until you do it. So you can't teleport out and come back and then pick it. You got to have your mind made up at what you're going to pick and what you're going to take. So I knew that ahead of time. So you're going to come to this altar of Ascendancy in the upper right-hand corner. You're going to click it. It's going to pop open 3 choices for you the first time. Like in my case, it would have said Elementalist, Occultist, or Necromancer. I chose Occultist. It said, are you sure? I went yes. And then open up this interface, and it would give me 2 points to apply. And I pick 2 points, and I apply it and say, okay, and then I'm done with that. Now let's talk about, this is the exit. Don't go out there yet, right? You can run around the room, whatever you want to do. But up here, there's your stash, and here's a divine font. Now you can open and close this as much as you want, right? You don't have to keep it open and then, oh no, I can only open it one time. But what the options are inside the divine font at the low levels are really simple. But this does transform a skill gem to be a random transfigured gem of the same color. So say I really, really wanted, I don't know, like a really important, really valuable blue one. This is where you really wish you had been collecting all the gems like I talked about in some of my earlier videos so that you have a bunch of them. Let's see if we can find one that might be interesting. You can't do the vow ones. Frostblink. I think there's a transfigured version of Frostblink for some reason that people are really into. There's 3 transfigured gems. Let's see what happens. In fact, let me show you what that might be before we do it. So go to Path of Exile wiki. And we're going to type in the word trans, and it'll pop up the word transfigured. And we want to go down here to Frostblink. It's all alphabetical. So Frostblink of instability, Frostblink of wintry blast. So Frostblink of wintry blast has been going for a lot lately. Let's show you that, okay? Let's go to, not Pathfinder, let's go to the main website, and we'll go to the trade, search, and we'll say Frostblink of wintry blast, and we're going to search for that. 32 Chaos Orbs, right? So you could be like a level 35 loser with a stupid build that completely stinks, and you don't know what you're doing, and you're really frustrated because your bow's not doing enough damage, and you might come to your very first Ascendancy Trial and maybe get lucky, and we're going to pop this in here. And you see, people are paying money for this, right? What does it actually do? Frostblink normally, well, let's show you what it normally does. Normally, Frostblink teleports to location, damaging enemies, leaving chilled ground in the area, both ends of the teleport, and it shares the cooldown with other blink skills, right? In this situation, it does something slightly different. Let's pop that up again. Teleport location, damaging the area, cannot be supported by Unleash, okay? Deals cold damage. The spell's cast time is added to its cooldown if triggered. Cannot inflict chill. 15% more damage hits per 5% per chill effect on an enemy. Removes chill after damaging. So there's something about that secondary effect that's working really, really well with someone who has a build that's probably applying tons and tons of chill on screen. I'm not playing that build. I don't know why, but every now and then you'll find something like this that somebody wants to do. They watch some YouTube videos about it. You're like, oh my goodness, okay. So let's try and put this in here, and we have to select which thing we want to do. This is highlight for transfigured. This just adds quality. You see how my raised zombie gem is quality 5? It's going to be the one I'm going to take to 20. In this case, let's roll the dice, see what we get. Okay, it's going to give us 3 random colored, not necessarily the same one, but random colored ones. So I could have put any blue gem in there. So it gives us Divine Ire of Holy Lightning. It gives us either Lightning Tendrils of Eccentricity, a Ball Lightning of Static. Now, I'm using an add-on that allows me to price check stuff. So, but we're going to need to type it in because we don't actually have it in our possession yet. So let's type in Divine Ire. So we're going to go back to here to the trade site. And this will help us pick Divine Ire of Disintegration. Let's see, what is it actually called? Divine Ire of Holy Lightning. So maybe no one wants that. Let's see. Divine Ire of Holy Lightning. Okay, there's a good search for it. That pops up. Gem number 1. Those price fixers. No, 1 Chaos Orb. So for one reason, that one's not very valuable to the community. Lightning Tendrils of Eccentricity. Hey, I said the word right. Eccentricity. Today is Eccentricity Day. Lightning Tendrils of Eccentricity. You can go back to your website. Go to the page here. Yeah, sorry, let me show you another trick. My wife showed me this. I never do it. Instead of scrolling all the time because I'm a habitual spaz scroller, you can click this button in the lower right hand and go beep, go right to the top. Okay, it was called Lightning something. Lightning what? Too busy talking, not thinking. Lightning Tendrils of Eccentricity. Lightning Tendrils. Okay, it does show up. Let's see what that's worth. Hit search. 1 Chaos Orb, 2. So the 1 is the price fixer. This is 2. All right, number 2 is worth 2. And the last one is Ball Lightning of Static. I don't even care what they do. I'm just going to sell these things. So we're going to click the button down here to pop to the top. And we're going to type in Ball Lightning Static. Is that what it was? Let's see, search for that. Is it static? 11111222. Let's be sure. Ball Lightning of Static. Yeah, so you got this one worth 1 and this one worth 2. So then what I usually do is say, okay, let me read it and see. While you channel a skill, it releases pulse of electrical energy, dealing lightning damage in a semicircular area in front of you. That sounds kind of awkward, but what does it do with the transfigured version, which is the different color, kind of bluish purple writing below? More lightning damage, stronger pulses every 5th pulse. Stronger pulse always crits. Hey, that sounds neat. A big radius. Stronger pulses do what more area effect. Stronger pulses deal 500% more damage with hits and ailment. Hey, that sounds nasty. I can see that going pop, 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 boom, and killing something, right? Now, what does this one do? Creates a ball of lightning in your location, damages enemy in the area around it repeatedly. Bolts lightning can't be supported. I used this before. You throw this on the ground. It's an area effect spell. That sounds lame. I can see someone using this. I'm going to take this one. Now I've got it. And take it out of here. Stick it in my bag. And we're done with the Trial of Ascendancy. We've done everything we could possibly do here. And we're going to go out back to town. And then we're going to run over here and we're going to put this up for sale. And you know what? I can put it up for sale for my stash right here. I don't even need to go to my hideout. I'm a habitual hideout person. Go to my sell tab. We're going to put this in here. And we're going to right click this and say sell for the exact price. I'll put it up for 2 Chaos Orbs and see how it goes. Okay, that's the crash course on the Trial of Ascendancy. Now, one last detail. Remember I was talking about PoE Lab? Let's just close these down. We don't need these anymore. There are, as you level up, there are different types of laboratories. Some of them have puzzles that are tricky, right? You're going to find puzzle solvers in here as well. You're going to find syndicate cheat sheets in here. You're going to find all kinds of interesting information. When you get to the next one, the Cruel Labyrinth, you can see it's much trickier. Like the shortest path is 5 rooms. And when you get to the next one, the Merciless Lab, which is what most casual people get to, you're going to see it takes 6 full rooms. You cannot die in here. If you're playing with a friend and you're the owner and you spawned everything, your friend comes with you, they don't get to do the font or anything like that as well. That's just you doing it. I believe they can help you, but I don't think they can help you fight Izaro, but I don't think they can take advantage of the font. So one trick you can do, though, at low level is run this thing over and over and over from your like level 35 to 55 and just spam Transfigured Gems and try to get one. As you get to the higher levels, the Transfigured Gem font becomes more specific. So you're willing to put like an hour into running the Merciless Lab, which because there's so many areas to go through, unless you're super fast. The final font might say, put in just the Frostblink gem and get an alternate version of Frostblink, which is what really dedicated people try to do. All right, like Detonate Dead, there was a version of Detonate Dead last year that was really powerful. That's pretty much the crash course on how the Labyrinth works, why you want to do it, what's good, what's bad, the functionality, how to navigate the maps, the PoE Lab, etc. Let me know if this is helpful to you, and we'll see you again in the next video. Take care. We'll talk to you later, and have fun. Be safe. Don't do anything I would do.